Olex Network 18, Mission Poshan, Bhavishya Roshan.
Here's some temporary relief for power companies. The Allahabad High Court directed the Finance Ministry to meet the RBI and power companies and find a solution for the sector's bad loan problems. The High Court went one step further and said that no coercive action be taken against power assets under the Reserve Bank's February 12th circular till this meeting takes place, provided the company is not a willful defaulter. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Breaking Bad Debt. I'm Lata Venkatesh, and over the next 30 minutes, we will discuss the impact of the Allahabad Court's order on stressed power companies, as well as the impact of this move on the RBI circular in general. Remember, that circular tries to ensure that stressed assets are recognized as NPAs and resolved. Separately, a parliamentary panel report on non-performing assets in the power sector had expressed concern over the quantum of bad loans, and the court stayed this RBI circular for the moment, quoting that parliamentary committee's report. So basically what we have is Parliament and court telling the government, the Power Ministry and RBI, to ponder over the problems of the power sector and come with solutions. Joining us now to take this discussion forward are Mr. Ashok Khurana, Director General, Association of Power Producers; Harry Dhaul, the Director General, IPPI, Independent Power Producers Association; Behram Vakil, Founding Partner, AZBN Partners; and VG Kannan, the CEO of the Indian Banks Association. Gentlemen, thank you very much for finding time for me. Well, first up, let me take this to Mr. Ashok Khurana. Mr. Khurana, is this a temporary relief only for the power companies? Do you see any lasting solution possible at all from this meeting?
See, I wouldn't call it a temporary relief, Lata, because if you really read the order very carefully, it clearly says whether any solution to the problem is possible in light of observation of the Energy Committee report. Now, Energy Committee report actually heard everyone, that is the RBI, bankers, developers, Ministry of Coal, Ministry of Power, Secretary Banking, and they have made far-reaching recommendations. And MOF cannot turn back and say there is no solution to the problem. What they have said actually is lay down an action plan on how you want to resolve the issues. And to take you forward, we have been in discussion with Ministry of Power, the ministerial level and the secretary level. And I must say, in last about 30 days, they have initiated many steps to at least ease the stress over there. So what is required now for MOF to list these steps and form a credible action plan and ask for specific dispensations.
Well,
which to my mind would be forthcoming. Because RBI cannot ignore courts, Ministry of Finance and also the parliamentary panel.
Well, Mr. Khurana, just hold on, because I will ask you for what in your mind is the solution, since you have been with this problem for a very long time and you know it from all directions. Let me get the banker in as well. Mr. Kannan, as a banker, what are you expecting at this meeting that the Finance Ministry has to call in the month of June?
I think the issue is regarding power sector. Complications on the receivables coming from the discoms, and many of the stalled projects and some of the projects which are already in operation, they are unable to generate surplus. And this particular circular, like many other industries, would hit power industry substantially. Many of them have been defaulting for a few days, 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, 2 months. So the moment the circular comes into operation as of 1st of March, as per the circular, a resolution plan has to be put in place within a period of 180 days. And thereafter, after the completion of the 180 days, the resolution plan to be in place, which will be effective over a period of 3 years or 5 years. If for some reason the resolution plan does not succeed in the sense there's a default after the resolution plan continues. And therefore, the company has to necessarily be taken to NCLT. Once taken to NCLT, the company is likely to, the promoters are likely to lose. And many of the companies which will be affected are the private sector. So as well as on the banker side, that's the process which the Reserve Bank of India has laid. Bankers would not like these accounts to go to NPA and have take a haircut.
Correct.
And as much as many of the power companies have been dependent on the discounts, and we expect some relaxation.
Okay, you expect some relaxation. Wait, now let me come to the Reserve Bank angle as well and the legal limits of this order. We've got Behram Vakil as well. Behram, in the first place, this order says that you cannot take coercive action till this meeting is called. Now, assuming the meeting does not yield results quickly, after all, it's a very, very intractable problem, then what happens? Do banks lose the right to, lose the duty to take the companies to NCLT? I mean, it's quite possible that a solution doesn't come in a month or two.
Yeah, thank you, Lata. I think, that we'll have to just wait and see. As of now, it's very clear, as you said, that they have said no action should be taken until the meeting. And they've also luckily said the meeting must happen in June. And as Mr. Kannan laid out and, all the experts that you have on the panel have been looking at this, I'm sure all three of them for decades, not years.
Yes.
So Harry has given me a whole blast on the power sector from 1992.
Okay.
So I'm sure that with these minds at play, we should find, they are complex, but hopefully we have to find solutions because, as I was mentioning, these assets also waste away. So if we keep delaying, it's not in the interest of anybody.
No, Behram, I completely take your point that nobody is interested in wasting, not even the Reserve Bank, although they have a very strict circular. But my point is that here the problem is DISCOMs don't have money. And, the central government may not be able to even provide them with any line of credit because it's not even in their area. It is the DISCOMs fall under state governments. If state governments don't allow them or do not pay their subsidies or do not allow them to increase tariffs, there is not much that the government can do to ensure, the central government can do to ensure that the DISCOMs make more money. They can't force them to stop T&D losses. It's not possible. So assuming only hypothetically that a solution is not in sight in 2 months, then where does this leave the RBI circular and the obligation of the banks to take the power companies to NCLT?
No, so, once again, very quickly, all I can say is that there are solutions to every one of these things. Even T&D losses, when you see the privatization, I mean, we joked and said that theft and dacoity rather than transmission distribution. Okay. And if you see some of the private players, they have brought the T&D losses down a lot. If you see some of the states, their DISCOMs are in much better shape than others, some very bad states, some better states. So we have to find a solution. That's the bottom line. And with a legal hat, all I can say is if you make one exception, there'll be a line outside the door. And have others also got justifiable grievances? We are coming back really to that point of cyclical business problems. So that there'll be a whole queue saying, why not me? I should also be treated specially. So from a lawyer hat, it's very scary.
That is my point. That was going to be my next question to you. I'm just trying to draw the legal limits of this order because the order is very specific. It says you don't have to take coercive action till this meeting is called. But I am not able to fathom what happens after this meeting because for so many years we have not found solutions to the DISCOM problem. Therefore, my point, already if this kind of what looks like a dispensation to the power sector happens, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months pass and no clear resolution is in place, will this set off this legal problem of others saying that under the law we are equal and we should also be getting a... Do you worry that the problem might start?
I certainly worry. And you know, if we talked 18 months ago, would you have said that 50,000 crores the banks would get back through IBC in 18 months? Even the world is startled. Forget India. 85,000 crores out of NCLT, pre-NCLT.
Sure.
So we have made so many terrific steps. I think we should continue to be bold and find solutions. We have to, Mr. Kannan said, even in a month they have taken some good steps.
Yes.
They need to do that, you know, every month.
Okay. Okay, let me get from Hari as well, because I guess he was in the court, I mean, he's representing that side. Hari, what is the sense you're getting? I'm only first trying to get the legal boundaries. If, you know, there will be a meeting in June and some solutions will be put forth, but it need not necessarily be successful. Then what happens? Are power companies still likely to be taken to NCLT?
Lata, my first reaction is just 3 points. The first is that we cannot do without electricity.
Yes.
Okay? We can't do without power. We can't run this country and economy without electricity. And as the other panelists have very correctly pointed out, we do need a solution. I think the Honorable Court has given an opportunity for all sides to come together to see what solutions can be found. This is the first point I'd like to make. And I think I'm pretty optimistic that between APP, IBPI, the bankers, all of us getting together with the ministries and the government can work together to find a solution, because it's not something which is impossible, and it's not something which is happening for the first time on the planet. We can definitely find solutions. And as Behram said, we've found a lot of solutions so far. Second point I want to make is that you cannot shoot the wrong person. You cannot say that I won't supply you coal, I won't supply you, give you rail wagons, I won't pay you for the power that you supply me, I won't give you a coal linkage, and a whole bunch of other issues, and I'm going to hold you responsible for setting up what I call a national asset. Power sector, power projects, whether they belong to NTPC or the government or the private, are basically supplying into the national grid. You cannot say that I'm going to not take you to cleaners. Third point, assuming that you go ahead as RBI and mechanically apply this provision, are you solving the problem? Will Coal India assure the next successor, if I may call him that, or the inheritor of this project, whichever project it is, with coal at 100%? The answer is no. Will he be able to get his money out of the discoms? The answer is no. So what are you really trying to achieve?
Okay.
What we are really saying is we need to come out with an out-of-box solution. And I think the government is really looking forward to that, and we are looking forward to working with them to find it.
Okay. Now, I know that I have here like-minded and positive people who are looking for a solution. But I want to put a couple of points on the table before I take my first break. In the first place, you can hold power companies responsible for going ahead and creating assets without having a PPA in the first place and without having an FSA in the first place. Secondly, you can hold the banks responsible for not ensuring that everything is in place. This also shows lack of diligence, and somebody has to be punished for this. The third, I am not that sanguine about solutions, because I, as a cub reporter, have covered the power problem in 2003 when Mr. Suresh Prabhu wrote the Electricity Act and the first forbearance was given and the state government, the same thing happened. Discom loans became SDLs, became state government loans. Absolutely, the script is action replay. And what have we done? Again, in 2013, we had something like a financial, reconstruction of the loans. You know, nothing has come. The Discoms have learned nothing. They have not increased tariffs. Politicians have done exactly what they wanted. Banks have given loans without doing due diligence. Quite a few parties are guilty here. And the Reserve Bank is right in saying, how many years should I be giving forbearance? They have a point. They are not applying it mechanically. They waited it out for 13, 14, 15 years, waiting for the power sector to sort itself out, waiting for politicians to become more responsible. It's not happened. So, I'm just, I'm sure you have a point. Hari, go ahead.
My point is very simple. You can shoot everybody if that's what you want. Because the fact of the matter is, we've been following the power sector, as Behram rightly put it, from 92 onwards. If you keep shifting the goalposts, if you stop making payments to people, if you put stupid conditions like you can't have a merchant power plant, earlier on you said you have to have a merchant power plant, you were supposed to have competition, You create all kinds of artificial barriers in the market. You want to play unplaying field. Let's take an example. Everyone wants to have competitive bidding. How come NTPC is not subjected to competitive bidding?
I agree.
How come NTPC secured its payments through subventions from the state?
No, I take your point.
And how come we as private power producers have to suffer? You see, you can't, if you want to hang all of us, please hang all of us.
No,
but the fact of the matter remains, let's have a level playing field.
No, Hari,
let's not also understand.
That point is taken.
You keep shifting the goalpost. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me just finish the point.
Sure.
You're shifting the goalposts, and then you're saying that somebody is guilty. What do you want the banks to do? The banks looked at a project with or without a PPA based on the 2003 Electricity Act, which talked about a market-based mechanism. It talked about a situation where cross-subsidy surcharges would disappear in 5 years. It talked about a situation where there would be open access.
That's right.
Is any of that being allowed? It's not being allowed. So if you keep shifting the goalposts, the bankers can't, you can't say that it's the banker's fault. It's not the fault of the IPP.
No, it's not the fault of the Reserve Bank either. What I am saying is that the Reserve Bank is saying that loans have to be paid. If they are not paid, resolve them. If they're not resolved, take them to NCLT. I don't think that's an unreasonable. That's not an unreasonable position.
No, hold on.
No, Hari, 1 minute. Hari, 1 minute.
Hold on.
1 minute.
Ask the Reserve Bank to please. Hold on a second.
Yes.
I'll answer your question.
Yes.
Ask the Reserve Bank to please go to the central government and take the same security measure that they have got for NTPC and make sure that private power producers are paid accordingly through the subventions. We will definitely honor our commitments to banks.
No, 1 minute.
Please treat us equally.
1 minute. 1 minute. It is wrong that the government gave such a long munificence forbearance to NTPC. I take your point on that. It treated NTPC with, extremely favorably compared to the independent power producers. I completely take your point. That's not the RBI's responsibility. As the regulator, they have to enforce rules of bad loans. But anyway, that's not the point. Before I let Behram go, because he won't be with us for long, Behram, just tell me this, that, are we pulling a thread out from the middle of the fabric? The Reserve Bank circular was giving a time-bound resolution of assets. Now, if this, with this order, is that time-bound resolution likely to get disturbed? Would you have that worry?
I certainly have the worry, but I hope not. I hope not. I'd like to remain optimistic and positive and, see that there's a... It's difficult, but not impossible. So I really hope we stick to the timeline. Okay.
Well, gentlemen, the blame game is over. Let's look for solutions. That's the purpose of the June meeting that the Finance Ministry will call. So, Hari, first to you. What would you recommend is an ideal solution to what is a historical problem in the power sector?
Well, the first solution that I can think of is to give a break to the power producers. Whereby you stop, let them focus on solving the problem, getting their coal supply, working with the government and making sure that they perform to the standards so that we can bring the power prices down. I don't know if you are following the power prices. They've gone absolutely skyrocketing in the last few days.
Yes.
That's the first thing. And for that, fuel supply is critical. The second is if you're signing a power purchase agreement, then you damn well honor it. And if you don't honor it, you make the payments, the fixed charges on time so that the IPP can pay for it. The third thing that needs to be done is after synchronizing this, you need to also be very clear that if you want the IPPs, you have to stop discriminating against the private power walas versus the government power sectors. You have to have a level playing field because when I switch on my electricity, I don't know whether it's coming from an IPP or it's coming from NTPC or NHPC or wherever. So I am looking at the power sector in the national interest as a national asset. If we are going to, as per the Prime Minister Modi's vision, if we are going to grow as one of the fastest growing economies in the world, we do need energy.
Yes, yes.
And we need energy at a reasonable price.
Let's not get to that. Give me solutions. Don't give me justification. Give me solutions. Yeah.
Right. The solution I've given you is treat everybody on the same level playing field. Secondly, if you look very carefully at why NTPC and Power Grid are always on top of the pops, because they are secured through an old subvention scheme where they are guaranteed payment in case the state government doesn't pay them. But the IPPs or MPPs, merchant power plants, do not get that security. We want the same security. Because once you give us that same security and people don't pay us, we get paid from the subvention through the government. We are considered on par. We will able to service all our debts. The RBI will have absolutely nothing to complain about.
Okay. Well, Mr. Khurana, let me come to you for solutions. See, the problem is the payments have to be guaranteed by the state government. We know that the finance ministry won't have that legal right over them. It is the enforceability. How do you enforce that DISCOMs pay? How do you enforce that DISCOMs stop this thuggery and dacoity, as Behram called it? What is an enforceable solution in the next 2-3 months?
See, what Harry told you, that subvention, it has not been implemented even once. However, the fear of subvention is there. See, my idea is, if you give the same category of assurance to private chaps, then states know that if they don't pay, the RBI can make direct deductions. Okay, there's a tripartite agreement. The very fact that agreement exists is enough deterrent for state to pay.
Okay.
Now let me tell you the figures. As on today, if I take regulatory assets and the power purchase bills, we have a pendency of 22,000 crores. Now, if you give me that, my 12 gigawatt of assets become standard in next 10 days.
That's a great solution. One, a tripartite agreement. Okay, first, that's a very concrete solution, a tripartite agreement, escrow the money and take it away from the state governments when the payment is due. What else?
Okay. Now, secondly, government has come up with a scheme about a year back on a flexible coal utilization, coal tolling policy, which will basically say that all projects which are really running at very high energy rate of 4 rupees, 4.5 rupees, they can save huge amount of money by not running the assets and transferring this coal to the new projects which are without the coal and PPA. Now, the last bid which was taken by Gujarat came in 2.84, which is a very good power rate. Now, we spoke to Secretary of Power. We had a meeting recently, 4 days back. And then it was agreed. Gujarat has already floated tender of 1,000 megawatts. Haryana is floating. Rajasthan is floating. So my idea is, if you sit with all the states, you can find 20-25 gigawatts of PPA with a coal transfer.
Okay, yeah.
So even if you
Mr.
have
Mr. Khurana, only 30 seconds on the show. Only 30 seconds on the show. I've got the second solution. Is there anything? Yes, sit with the states and transfer from old power plants to new plants which are more energy efficient. You've just got 10 more seconds. If you implement
these two steps, you are solving approximately 32 gigawatts of power. Then only you have an issue of imported coal and the gas. And if you sit around the table, you can even find solutions for those two problems also. So as Harry says and others says, we need to sit on a table in a positive manner and find solution instead of mothballing these national assets.
Okay. Point taken. Gentlemen, these are concrete solutions that you have brought to the table. I don't have time to go to, I've lost connection with Behram, but we don't have time to go to Mr. Kannan. Solutions are possible if a tripartite agreement where the money is escrowed and given to the private power companies, as well transferring agreements from old and energy inefficient power plants to energy efficient new power plants run by the stressed power companies. These are immediate solutions and more can be found on the table. We will look forward very eagerly to the Finance Ministry meeting of RBI bankers and the independent power companies. And one hopes that finally, at long last, with a gun pointed at their heads, a solution will come from all the parties. We wrap up this special discussion. Thank you for watching.